And welcome to another episode of the Wikid Weekend podcast. My name is Michael. I am one of the co-founders of Wikid Publishing, and today I'm joined by Jeremy Lott and Chuck. How's it going, guys?
Keeping it real.
I'm alive.
Both good answers, both good things. Glad that you're keeping it real and keeping it alive. But I appreciate you guys taking time to join us on this Wikid Weekend and to chat a little bit today about your projects and just kind of hang out in general.
Sure.
So, what you guys been up to since the last time we spoke?
Oh, let me think. The last 2 weeks, it's kind of a blur. Time
so much going on, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so much. Yeah. No, I mean, there's one project I've been developing a bit with an artist, and just trying to get other stuff. Like I need to get Movieman, Meet Sporkman lettered, so that's coming next. And I accidentally invented a character yesterday by just throwing out a joke on Facebook. So I just said a commie dog named Carl Barks.
Carl Barks.
Yeah.
That's a good one, man.
And so then Doug Curtis popped a cartoon of this commie dog saying something funny, and I go, "Did you just make that based on what I said?" Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh my god, dude!
So we might at some point have the adventures of Carl Barks.
I can't wait to see what wacky characters he runs into. That'll be quite fun. That's awesome, man. And how about you, Chuck? What have you been doing? Have you created any new characters in the last couple of weeks?
No, I've been literally everything's kind of on the back shelf right now because I'm trying to get this stuff done with the comic. So for those out there who are not aware, because I know Wikid, I've been talking with the guys from Wikid and stuff like that. We finalized actually Thursday, I do believe Thursday. Eric and I went through the final edits on the single issues of Japan for the backers, and because the backers are the only ones that are getting the single issues. After at this point, it's going to be the trade. So the single issues are being approved. They're being sent. I'm working on those right now for the final PDFs to go to you, Mike.
Nice.
And then Eric and I also then on Friday, we went through the fan art. Unfortunately, we did have to trim some of the fan art out, sadly, because we only have so many pages available. So, we had to scale down to 5 because we're trying to keep it within a certain page count, because we don't want to break the bank. We don't want to break people's banks. Even after we go through the past Kickstarter, for those who are interested later on, we don't want people spending $30 on a trade. We want to try to keep it manageable for people to back and get.
Makes sense.
No, I get that. Yeah. That's a good thought, man. Well, that's exciting. I know it's just been a long time coming for you, so I'm sure you're going to be really happy once that's all done. You have the book in your hands.
Yeah, I will be. I will be satisfied because I think I'll be taking a break for a little bit while Eric works on the next script. I'm probably I'll probably take a break and work on some of my other characters because I got Celerity out there who because after we do Sporkman on the High Seas, we're going to be doing Sporkman and the Superhero Super League. And so that's going to be our next thing. So I already wrote our Speedster. Eric is also, once again, we're going forward with Natsumi Spearhead, which is going to be basically a whole story about Natsumi and her adventures in Japan without Sporkman there. So we got a lot of stuff, that we're going to work on. Plus then, we got to look for artists for On the High Seas. And
right. So Giffney won't be returning for this new issue?
Who?
Giffney?
We don't. We're kind of in the talks on that right now. My only concern about bringing, we wanted to go with somebody different because we want to upscale the art a lot. Even though we love Giffney's art, we really kind of want to raise the art to the next level. So,
more detail and kind of, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that's basically where we're at on that.
I get that. Yeah, from going from conventions to Japan, you definitely escalate the scale, and so I could see why you'd want to keep that going, kind of going, that momentum.
Right, and especially if you're doing 60-some pages minimum. Like right now, I think the way Eric clocked on the high C's, it's minimum going to be about 60 to 70 pages. And that's just not, that's not us going through and actually storyboarding stuff, because that always ends up being longer. With, as you guys know, most cases we're probably looking close to 80 to 90 once you finally get in like splash pages and all those things. So
when it comes to my single issues, I said just a hard, 20-page. That's it. You got to make it in 20 pages. And that's very difficult sometimes. You got to leave a lot of stuff on the floor if you're going to do that.
Where we're doing things a little bit differently, I'm still trying to convince Eric to break it down and go to break it apart and do it in maybe 30 pages, where it's a little bit more manageable. But we got to see where the story is first when we storyboard it out. So,
let the story decide the length.
Yeah. That's the thing is, we really don't want to cut anything, because like right now we love where the story is, and we don't want to take anything out, because we think if it takes anything out, it's gonna hurt the comic. The way and the thing is with Japan, we try to say, we were originally shooting for two issues. We ended up going to 3 because the story just evolved and it needed more room. So
yeah,
nice, man. Well, that's great. That's all good stuff, man.
Yeah. But I will probably be taking a little time off, though, once I'm doing this, because but Eric and I but the one good thing Eric and I did talk about, and we both agreed, is with Ginger, doing the colors and all the new lettering. And I'm talking about, guys, this is all new lettering, sound effects, everything. And we love it. We feel like it's a whole new project, from when we first did it. So that's the one good thing.
Well, man, you definitely earned your break, because it's not easy working on such a large project like that, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, and I this is going to backers, and I know, Jeremy, I know you were a backer, which, by the way, I did finally get your card in for the Tick and Sporkman, so I do have that for you.
Sweet.
So, yeah, Jeremy earned that as being our backer on our Kickstarter campaign. That was a treat that, if I was able to get that, he was going to back our campaign on there. So I was able to get that for him. And actually, I have 2 other ones for him that I got from Peter Simetti. I also have a Natsumi and a Sporkman that are illustrated by Peter Simetti. So I'm going to give those to you, Jeremy. To make
nice.
Wow.
Yeah, well, honestly, I would love to keep them, but for what you actually backed us on, I think it's worth it, in my opinion.
Okay.
And then you add to your art collection, Jeremy.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll have to create a triptych that has all 3.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Nice, man.
Yeah, and this is something we really want to. This is why we really want to up the art too. Because seeing Peter's work coming through and seeing a lot of the talented art come through, we really want to raise that level. Going on, because we want people to keep backing us, and I think we need to prove that to bring people back. Yeah. I
totally get that. I would just say that I the way I think, maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. The way I think of Sportman is somewhat cartoony, right? And so you're only going to be able to be so detailed if that's the case, but maybe it could be different in kind of different ways you present the story.
Yeah. Yes. Correct. Yeah. Like Japan, the reason why Japan looks the way it looks is because it was supposed to be a homage to Sentai superheroes. Now, even though Sporkman himself is just a homage, but he can still be drawn. If you look at him, he can be drawn in so many different ways. he can be drawn very close to, if you look at Mr. Marvel's art, he did him as very serious with him and Juan pulled together.
Yeah.
Then there was Teen Twitter version, like the Tween Twitter version. Then you had the
is that the one that you have just released the sweatshirt of or whatever you call it?
Yes, there's the chibi version and there's also the Teen Twitter version, which is that one was done by Mr. Marvel, where he drew it in the style of Teen Titans Go.
Okay, so
we drew Sporkman that way.
Well,
I actually
want to say.
Gifty
Enter
drew
the rage, puppy.
Gifty drew actually Sporkman in the style of the Dark Knight, Batman animated series.
Okay,
so the character actually lends himself to multiple styles.
Yeah.
So we just really want to. I think because On the High Seas is going to pull a lot more from American comics, we want to kind of draw it more in the American comic style.
Gotcha.
Very nice, man.
But keep it cartoon, but still keep the cartoony nature and stuff like that, because it's still whimsical. It's still going to be there.
Yeah. Like with Batman, you can do him as the animated series version. You could do him in a more, or a more Dark Knight. You can vary him. I get it.
So we just haven't settled. Like, I think we haven't really settled on that version. Although I kind of want to keep it kind of more manga. I think for me, myself specifically, I'm more of a fan of the manga inspired theme, like we did with Japan and conventions. I really wanted to kind of keep that theme going. Eric kind of doesn't. He wants to get into like some of the different artists, and I don't have a problem with it, because Sporkman lends himself that way.
Yeah.
So
cool. Well, cool. And I will say for people who, so once you get Sporkman Japan, then there's going to be the crowdfunder for Movie Men Meet Sporkman, and then we'll be fulfilling that too. And so you're not going to have to wait. That'll fill a gap while the Spork team queues up the next adventures.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Now we're joined by another Wikid creator, Scott, the creator of Wrath, whose current comic is actually fulfilling at this moment. How's it going, Scott?
Good. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here. Jeremy, I left something in the Wikid chat for your Carl Barks character.
Okay. Go on.
I love it. Oh my god, that's so funny.
No, that's not an original idea. That's something that's been floating around for years. Just a lot of people don't know about it, but I thought it was fitting.
So I'll just tell people what it says. He says, "Here you go, Jeremy. Carl Barks' arch nemesis, Hitler." And it's a cat that looks like Hitler.
He's got the little comb over and the mustache. It's
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Wow. So, Scott, what have you been doing this last week?
Well, I've been doing a little bit of unexpected writing on a side project, and working on my merch store for all the Wrath goodness you could want. And I officially opened doors this morning, and I'll be putting out a post about it later.
Woohoo!
Sweet. Give us that sweet merch.
Yeah, there's t-shirts, some wall scroll art, and even a little sticker pack that has both the concept and comic version of the Rage Puppy.
Cool.
That's great, man. Yeah.
So we got Mythoverse's got a store, Ironverse's got a store, Sporkman's got a store, and now Wrath has got a store. That's awesome. So
is there any others that we have? I'm trying to think. I can't recall any off the top of my head.
Not yet.
No, I think that's the only one with the merch stuff. Directly. I think right now, but.
More to come.
Yeah, definitely.
Very nice, man. Very nice.
So I thought of something earlier today, Scott. Who would win in a fight The Rage Puppy or the Hulk?
That's a very easy question. The
Let
Hulk
me guess.
would
Is it the guy? Yeah, is it the guy who gets angry all the time, or is it the puppy? I don't know.
Or is it the anger?
Yeah, technically the anger wins because either way.
That is funny. Yeah, it is funny. That's an interesting idea. The way to look at it, Jeremy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like the best Marvel Wikid crossover I could imagine is Wrath and Hulk.
Yeah, it would be kind of a one-sided fight since Hulk can regenerate, and the Rage Puppy, while he is damage resistant, Doug's definitely gonna feel that.
This dude's got it so much better, right? So they're about to fight, but then they realize, no, wait. If Hulk has his own Rage Puppy, it'll make him even stronger because he'll be even.
Oh, there you go. It's a team up.
It's a team up. Exactly. He can enhance the Hulk's power.
I think that the interesting twist would be is if the Rage Puppy is able to tap into the Hulk's rage.
That'd be interesting.
You know,
make him a green Rage Puppy.
I don't know. Like the Hulk, the Hulk is winning, and then all of a sudden the Rage Puppy turns green, and then it's on.
He becomes basically Beowulf.
Oh my god. That's awesome.
I don't know. I just think that'd be I would love that. That would be an amazing story at some point. Like I like crazy crossovers like that.
I just kind of picture like Hulk jumping around with the little Rage Puppy on his shoulder.
That kind of gives me an idea, Jeremy. You say crazy crossovers for like a special Wikid annual one shot or something of that nature, where it'd be like all the characters thrown into one, random universe. We
don't have a universe, but for like one day somehow.
Exactly. Somehow the stars have aligned.
Yeah.
And exactly. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. That'd be really funny just to see all the interactions between the characters you would normally never get to see interact. So
I want to see Jack Irons interacting with Sporkman.
Oh, that'd be fun. That would be great. Yeah. Oh man, the potential possibilities are endless.
I know Chuck's played around with kind of a spoofy way of doing that with I think it was Sporkman Goes to Hollywood.
Yep.
Wait, is that something that's coming out or already came out?
No, it's something that's going to be coming up down the road. That's probably going to be after we do Sporkman and the Superhero Super League. There is Sporkman Goes to Hollywood. This is where Victoria Daniels will make her reappearance from conventions.
Nice.
Sporkman is actually going to be going on the set of a murder mystery. And the villain he has to fight is the Puffer. And the Puffer.
Like the puffer fish?
Yep.
Nice. Puffer fish are very poisonous.
Well, not only on top of that, it has to be cut in a certain way in order for it not to be poisonous. Sporkman's a chef. Therefore,
Send in the chef.
So what?
Don't kiss the cook.
What basically ends up happening is, our plan is kind of to do the Scooby-Doo mystery, where Scooby-Doo goes onto the set and they run through the, all the different rooms and stuff like that. And all these, how they met all the Harlem Globetrotters and all that. So we wanted to do it where they go on to the set to the Hollywood. And in there is actually you'll go on there and the movies that are being filmed are Rags, Wrath, so there's all these different sets and you get to meet the actors. All the people that are in the comic are actors, one set.
Man, I'm looking forward to this.
So,
because I know at least one movie main character would be a diva when she's not in character.
So we basically, that's our goal. That's what we want to do. We kind of want to. We've said that we want to have this homage where he's basically Sporkman's chasing, the different goons through all these different sets and stuff like that, and we think it would be just hilarious, just giving that homage to Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Gang and crime thrillers and stuff like that,
No, that would be really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, Eric and I, what we talked about, we kind of wanted to do, really, and it's not unique because if guys know about like Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and of course, At the End of the World are actually homage to different genres.
Yeah.
So we're kind of doing the same thing, but we're keeping the comedic tone there. We're going kind of more comedy in terms of, some of the stuff, and over the top.
Cool.
So, but we're giving a superhero theme versus, and it's really just a love of, for all of it, a lot of times they like the movies out there do like, why they hate these things. We want to show why we love these different genres and stuff like that.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah. And definitely a good spot. Hopefully we'll see a little cameo of maybe some movie men running around in the back. That'd be really fun, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
Well, the thing is, movie men though, where they would, I think, where they would work is they're the tour guides.
Okay.
They've upgraded. This is after they leave the theater. Now they've become the tour guides at the Hollywood set.
Well, no, it's not that. It's not that. It's just that in our universe, they are just they're Hollywood tour guides.
I see. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Well, that's the thing though. That's the other thing though, because there's going to be an official Sporkman versus or Sporkman Movie Man already, kind of almost combining the two universes together.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, will that be something that will play out? I'll just be interested to see how that plays out. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've given them permission to do anything they want with the movie men. So I'll be interested to see it as well.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we haven't sat down and wrote the script, but that's kind of like the ideas that we are kind of tossing around. Like I said, once we get there, we're just working on one script at a time. So right now we're just focused on getting this done and working on the high seas because we really want to tweak that, make that our thing because that on the high seas is really going to be the homage to Jules Verne. Aquaman, all the water adventures movies and stuff like that, and like Island of Dr. Moreau. And so that's going to be like our homage.
Nice. Very nice.
And Pirates of the Caribbean, because I will tell you, yes, there will be pirates. Because you can't have a water themed movie or themed stuff without pirates. You got to have real pirates.
Well, of course, I mean it's on the high seas. I mean, there's nothing more high seas than pirates.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the modern definition of pirates. We actually work real pirates into the movie.
Or I don't know. I'm not sure how come. I'm not sure if I'd be comfortable if we're like all of a sudden like Captain Phillips of Somalia pirates show up against Sporkman. I'm the captain now, Sporkman. I'm like, oh no, this is getting taking a different turn than I thought.
You know who did a pretty good job of that? Kind of like mixing the old school and the modern pirate was Venture Brothers.
Oh really?
Oh, yeah. I saw a little bit of it, but yeah, I didn't see much. But what I've seen, I agree.
I've never seen it. I mean, I've heard the name, but I'm not too familiar with what the series is about. I guess
it's basically like a very screwed up Johnny Quest.
I don't know what Johnny Quest is either.
You don't know Johnny Quest?
I gotta cross myself now. Oh my god!
Johnny Quest, anything like Johnny Test?
No, Johnny Quest is the 60s, 70s action cartoon.
It's also, I believe, Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah, it's also Hanna-Barbera. Yeah.
So it was like the boy adventurer who worked with basically went on all these crazy adventures with his super science father and their government bodyguard.
Oh, that's funny.
And most of those characters make an appearance in the Venture Brothers at some point.
So it's kind of like an homage or like saying like, oh, look at that. Here, the characters are in here too.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically Rusty Venture was basically a Johnny Quest in his youth, but it screwed him up, and then his dad mysteriously dies or disappears, and so he's got all these keys to the kingdom, and everyone's expecting him to like pick up his father's mantle, and he's just kind of this screw up.
That's kind of funny. I don't know. I missed a lot of the Hanna-Barbera, I think, growing up. I feel like
Johnny Quest was more, like wholesome and fun. Venture Brothers is definitely like dark and twisted.
So it's like the kids who liked Johnny Quest grew up and now are making something a lot darker.
Sounds about par for the course.
But yeah, like that right there, like they recreate that scene like all the time because they have, Dr. Venture's father's like, what is it, subatomic jet that they fly around. And then of course there's all the arch villains, the Monarch, Baron Unterbite.
It's funny because the you can tell that they definitely tried to like emulate the original anime, or at least the art style looks like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's funny. Yeah, is Venture Brothers an Adult Swim show or something?
Yep.
Nice.
That's why I'm surprised you have not seen it.
Yeah, I don't know. I missed a lot of the Adult Swim shows. Like I never saw like what was that Metal one, Metalocalypse?
That one's pretty good too. That one's a lot darker.
So you never watched Harvey Birdman?
No, I never saw Harvey Birdman.
What?
Oh, you definitely need to watch Harvey Birdman,
Really?
especially since you have that degree in paralegal.
So much geek cred is being lost right now.
Okay, so you never watched Space Ghost?
Nope, never watched Space Ghost. I've heard of all of these, and I've never seen any of them.
Okay.
Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
My parents were. I lived a very sheltered childhood. I was never allowed to watch The Simpsons or anything that was even remotely.
Wait, hold on.
I couldn't watch Scooby-Doo because of ghosts.
I was allowed to watch
like,
Scooby-Doo. That was what I was allowed to watch.
They're not actually ghosts, guys. It didn't work. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yes, I epically fail.
Yeah.
Oh, you're killing me. I had a heart attack.
Killing me small.
Do you have a Hulu account? I believe you can watch Venture Brothers on Hulu, so you should get on that today.
I will definitely check that out.
And I have Johnny Quest on the
on the drive. Okay,
Yep.
On the Plex.
On the Plex. Yep.
Speaking of Hulu, though, I actually just watched the first episode of the new Justin Roiland show yesterday.
What show?
Yeah, Solar Opposites.
Oh, I want
yeah.
to see that. I want to see that.
It was good. It's brace yourself because I was expecting something a little more mild than Rick and Morty, but it's pretty intense.
Well, it's internet, so they don't have the same.
I guess I don't know why I thought it would be. I thought I read somewhere that was going to be like milder. I guess I misread it.
Yeah, probably not.
But it's good. It's pretty funny.
So I really wish that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love you guys, but I wish Ibai was on here so I could talk to him about these comments.
Yeah.
So on the same, I go this
cool
week.
Too.
This week I go and I check my mailbox, and on the same day, I have 2 graphic novels that are both drawn by Ibai Canales.
Oh, that's cool.
Right, who apparently doesn't sleep ever. This cover is by a different artist, but all the interior of this thing is by Ibai.
That's a good looking book, dude.
You know what's? It's a lot of fun.
So can you show that again to me real quick? Because that's SOS, right?
SOS, yeah.
So SOS, I believe the second book for SOS is currently funding on Indiegogo.
That's right. They've got Ibai said that it's kind of like a side quest thing, but he's like, get it, it's fun, and that's got a Simon Bisley cover on it too.
It looks good, man. I love them. I mean, the art is just looking so good on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so SOS came out, and I read it. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
And this is closer to Ibai's beating heart, the kind of stuff he likes to do. Right.
Nice.
And the art is just, it's so good.
Oh man.
It's just, and he did the lettering too, and
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is other than the cover, this is an Ibai Canales production from one end to the other.
Shit! Guess who's just hit me up on Twitter?
Oh, is he coming?
He just asked a minute ago if we're still doing it.
Bring it on.
Get in here, brother.
How was Iron Sights 2?
It was really good.
I didn't get a chance to back it, but You know, I somebody I guess somebody on Anti-Comics Twitter was complaining about like the art on it. I'm like, dude, I loved the first volume. Like the first Iron Shots was great.
Yeah, and he's leveled up his art for number 2 as well. So if anyone's complaining about the art in number 2, they're drunk.
Well, yeah, he just always keeps getting better. Yeah.
Well, and that's how you get better as an artist. You keep doing.
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect. So
I mean, it's actually one of the great things about Iron Sights 1, which I am holding in my hands right now, is that you have him struggling with his inadequacies as an artist and just slamming him to the mat. And he gets better and better as the book goes on, right? Now you get to Iron Sights 2, and sure, there's improvement as the book goes, but he's a better artist from one end to the other. I mean, kind of, I don't know how much you can see here, but
Let me see.
Zoom in there. I was going to say, yeah, zoom. Can we zoom in?
Sorry, wrong button.
Oh, there. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
So I'll show some pages of this thing here. Okay.
Oh man, that looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Damn.
Keep in mind,
Damn. Whoa! Wow.
Him doing the art on Adductables, like, so he's like done stuff in between there to help him level his art up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, he works so much. He's always doing projects, you know.
Yeah. I'll show you some pages from SOS.
Because he also had the other one. What's the name of that other one he did? Necromancer Tombstone Blues.
Yeah. Which I also really loved.
Yeah, I thought that was a good book too.
You know, I think what I really like about Ibai's art, like I really feel like the whole 2000 AD style feel to his art.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely a more European artist, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I guess you could complain about that, but I've always liked European art, so.
Yeah, dude. Seriously, I love their style, man.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah,
should be jumping in here in a few moments. He said he's on his way.
Cool, and also the Iron Sights 2 came with a poster from Miss Sashi. Let's see what we can do here.
She did a pretty good job on that poster, I have to say.
Here's I don't know. I can't actually show the whole thing. I guess I can kind of.
Give us the what you call them, scroll down to the long flow pan.
and talk about somebody else whose art keeps upgrading too. Sachi's art is just getting better and better too. Canales.
Hola.
What's up, brother?
Not much. I just jumped from another podcast into this one. I seem to be very popular too. Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, that's
right. They arrived the same day.
Same day,
man. How awesome is that?
Almost as awesome as dual wielding miniguns.
And doing headshots.
Right. That's how I like my projects. That's why I always work in at least 2 projects at the same time, so I can wield them as I was Choyum Fat and shoot everyone at the same time with my art.
And then I noticed I backed a book that you're drawing half of too. The Aaron Calamari's book.
Yeah, more lethal. I'm having such a good time drawing that. It's just ninjas and fights and cool poses and robots and whatnot. Please make them all like that.
Which one's this?
It's called More Lethal.
Okay.
Aaron Calamari, he did a book.
Oh yeah, Aaron's book. Yeah.
Yeah, he did a previous book, and then this is the second book, and it's got 2 stories in it, and then one of them's drawn by Mr. Canales here.
Ah, okay.
Yep, and it's cool because it's it's manga format, so I can draw them in A4 sheets, which means I can draw more quickly, and I just do them in my spare time. So yeah, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
Very nice, man. Well, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate that. We were just talking all about Iron Sights and how much your art has improved since the first one.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's. I keep saying that it's because I suddenly found myself surrounded by big names like Jack Dixon, Ethan Van Sciver, and all these guys, and I was like, "Holy shit! I need to up my game or I'm going to be known as the little ugly brother of these guys, like the retarded cousin, and I don't want to be remember like that.
No, I get that, man. Oh, that's too funny.
So there was the first run, I guess, of Ironsides 2 had to be pulped because there was some reproduction problem.
Yeah. I don't know what happened because I used the same technique that I always use. That is like I use like a Cipatone sheet, like one of those matrix, like the manga shading, like the tones and all that. And then I paint over it with a white brush to create the lighting effects and the brights and all that. And I don't know what this time when printed, it created like this weird X-type pattern, like the Moore pattern.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened, but I had to replace every Cipatone layer in every file with like a pure gray texture. So yeah, it was kind of
that sucks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
it does.
you just had to do stuff digitally, or did you have to do stuff physically as well?
Oh no. Luckily, thank the gods, I only had to do it digitally.
Okay. I thought you actually had to go into the pages and do stuff and rescan them or something.
Oh no. Just for a couple of pages because I was too dumb to remember that I was supposed to keep the layers separated. So in some cases, I did have to rescan and retexture some of the pages, but luckily it was just a couple of instances.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, but I mean, like that's so. I mean, how many more hours did you have to throw into that after the thing had been printed and pulped?
No, not many really, because I use the automating function on Photoshop.
Okay.
So unless the program ran into a problem that happened quite often for some reason, Photoshop would do it. But I had to create the action, and then it's a process. So I'm going to say maybe 10 minutes per page, something like that, and that means like a couple of hours max. Not too much.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's a pain in the ass, but it's not a my god kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, I've done worse stuff, like manually correcting advertising posters for a local subway system that were printed badly, and I had to fix them with white corrector fluid. And my friends and I did that, and we got really high. Yeah, we were teenagers. We got hired by the local subway system to do that, and they locked us up in a garage, so we would spend the entire day working on it, and we got really high on the fumes from the corrector fluid. It was really fun.
Very nice. Sounds like a good day.
Oh, you're telling me is you blacked out on whiteout?
Yeah, that was basically it. That was probably the most high that I've been in my teens, and I got paid to get high. How was that?
That's the life right there.
Yeah. To be young and high again.
Neostar had a question for you. He said, would you rather draw a comic about a gunslinger exorcist or a demon hunting werewolf?
Oh, come on. That's unfair. You can't ask me that. What's the problem with using both of them in the same story?
There we go.
Why not? Please tell me why not.
That's a good answer right there.
Yeah, you know what's awesome about that? Those ideas are so out there that they would be really cool. Like, especially if you set it in, set it in the future.
Yes, we need more stuff like Highlander 2. I'm probably the only person on the planet that likes that movie. Probably because
I
love
the second Highlander.
It's great. I mean, the bad guys are great.
We literally found the only two people on the planet who like this movie.
I love all the Highlanders.
This is fate, my friend. This is fate. We've been brought together by fate. This was meant to happen.
My God.
So
I've never seen Highlander, so I don't know.
What? Okay, you really need to hand in your geek card.
Be gone, heretic.
For shame. For shame.
Oh my goodness. No Sporkman for you. Sporkman doesn't like.
Sporkman doesn't go to
for real
Japan.
too. The second movie had some really cool villains, like these guys who like flew around in goblin gliders.
Yep.
With swords and aviator
What the
glasses. And the
So when
big
is
bad
Highlander
one-
3 coming out? Is that already out?
Yeah, Highlander 3 already
They
came
put
out.
3 out, but they ignored 2, basically.
Yeah, they were the first one to pull an X-Men, an X-Men movie series and completely ignore the first one.
Well, then
remember
they did that. Then they ignored the 2 and 3 when they released the version with Andrew and Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's confusing.
Well, because
I remember
there's also a TV show.
What time period is this?
Yes. Now, I remember the last
I-
Highlander movies. I remember the last Highlander movies were post-Matrix, and they were like trying to cram in as much as hand-to-hand kung fu as they could, and it was really weird and out of place. Because this is a sword fighting franchise, guys. I don't know what the hell are you doing.
I thought Highlander was like Braveheart or something.
The first one was, yes.
I mean, kind
Yeah,
of.
that's confusing.
That's like his roots.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but it's set in it was set in New York in the 1980s, right?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
And
That's where the Princess of the Universe's Queen song.
Yes.
comes from.
Also, the term "there can only be one."
Yep.
Ah, I thought that was from Star Wars.
Nope.
What? Okay, now your geek card is definitely revived.
Yeah, he's just messing with you at this point.
No, I'm not. I'm serious.
I'm going to find another publisher for Decimators.
I ruined this all.
This is offensive.
So, since you don't know anything about this, the basic premise is in the world there's people that are born that are immortal, and they're basically in this struggle fight to the death, because there can only be one left at the end, and then you get some sort of powers and stuff for being the last one.
Okay,
And then
interesting.
each person you kill, you gain their powers.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about the Highlanders. That the longer they live and the more other Highlanders they've killed, the more powerful they become. So in the end in the first movie, which is by definition, there can only be one movie.
I know.
So there shouldn't be any sequels, but who cares?
Yep.
So the last 2 Highlanders they face off in New York City, and there's this Christoph Lambert, this guy from Scotland who doesn't sound like a Scotsman at all. He sounds like I don't know, French or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guy is this really cool barbarian that has been around for thousands of years, killing Highlanders.
And the man, the myth, the legend, Sean Connery.
Oh yeah, and Sean Connery is like the mentor
prime.
figure. Yeah, he's Spanish and he sounds like a Scotsman. So this movie has a real problem with accents.
I think that's what made it so great, though, was just like the accents. You're like, really? Like you got a guy from New York trying to act like.
Yeah, they tried to tell Sean Connery to sound Spanish, and he was like, "No, I'm going to sound Scottish." Can you try? No.
So basically, just usual to deal, or
I do like that Sean Connery is just like, no, I'm Sean Connery. Period.
Yeah,
You can make Sean Connery sound anyhow else than like Sean Connery. That's impossible.
He's got a very distinctive voice. Yeah, that's for sure. Interesting. I just had an idea. What do you guys have any thoughts on the next the next Bond?
What's the 4-1? Daniel Craig.
I have no idea.
Daniel Craig's coming back, right?
yes, it's his last one.
Okay.
Are they transitioning it to a female agent like they've been kind of speculating for a while?
No, from what I heard was Idris Elba has kind of gotten the nod.
Gosh, I hope so, man. I've been wanting that for so long.
If they have it, I hope they would have him in the Bond movie, the next Bond movie, and have the number 007 passed to him, right?
That'd be so cool.
Because he can never be James Bond, but he could definitely be 007.
Well, okay. Well, why can't he be James Bond though?
Because James Bond is James Bond.
But we've had different actors play James Bond.
Sure, but James Bond is James Bond is Sorry, talk. You say it. Bye.
I was going to say that James Bond originally was described as Cary Grant by Ian Fleming, the writer.
Yeah.
So
and it's copyrighted too, by the way.
Yeah, I mean they've always been trying to find people who look more or less like Cary Grant, or that inspired the same as Cary Grant did.
I can
And
see
I
that.
love
Yeah.
I don't know if he looks, if you can describe him as Cary Grant.
Yeah, that's basically that's the best description, I think. If you look again, but like Dave talked about Broccoli's daughter or
Broccoli. Oh, Wait, what?
Yeah, the
Broccoli
director.
Yeah, no,
Naruto?
they're called the Broccoli Brothers.
What?
No, Ian Broccoli, I believe, is like one of the early directors who was basically like the director for like all the original. Him and his daughter, Fleming's daughter, basically said like even if they went with like a different 007, it would never be James Bond because James Bond specifically is a certain way and copyrighted a certain way in the United States and in the world. But 007 could be anybody.
Yeah, because it's a number that you know the special services or whatever the term is assigns to an agent, right?
Yep.
So it would make sense that the number could pass on to someone else.
Yeah, it's basically.
I think that's a point in the new movie, though.
That's what they're trying to do with the female agent, though.
Yeah, I think that in the new movie, James Bond is retired, and 007 has been passed on to a black woman.
Okay, all right.
So
whatever.
that's what the movie's about. I know.
That's what I heard as well. So we'll see if
I don't have a problem at all with passing on the number.
I don't either. I'm gonna miss Daniel Craig. I really enjoyed his movies.
I hear the problem is that he didn't enjoy them, right? And so it became increasing. I by the way, Casino Royale, very, very, very good movie.
Casino Royale, amazing, and I my personal favorite of all the Bond movies is I know this might be overrated to say, but it's Skyfall.
Skyfall is a great movie.
I really enjoyed that.
And Skyfall it's a surprising movie because of some of the stuff that happens, and it I think it rivals Casino Royale for the best.
I'm going to be the bearer of bad news. I am a classic Bond fan. I am a Sean Connery fan.
Nice.
And my next favorite after that is Pierce Brosnan.
Okay, I can see that.
I really like Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. He has that suave, sarcastic thing going on that really fits the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, one of the problems we have is that James Bond, if you look at the novels, he's different. I think there is a sort of a through line through most of them, but not if you look at there's a departure from Casino Royale to the next ones, right? Actually, I wrote a piece about this. I mean, let me give you the openings of his first two novels. Okay, so here's how the first one begins: the scent and smoke and sweat of a casino are nauseating at 3 a.m. Then the soul erosion produced by gambling, a compost of greed and fear and nervous tension, becomes unbearable, and the senses awake and revolt from it. James Bond suddenly knew that he was tired. So that's how the first Bond book began, right? And here's how the second one begins. There are moments of great luxury in the life of a secret agent. Right? Like they're just like a total thing, right? And and Casino Royale is a much darker book than a lot of the other ones are. And it could have just been a one-off, you know. So you'd basically adapted all the other books to movies, but for various reasons, with the exception of a stupid parody movie, you hadn't done that with Casino Royale. And so
I know, right?
Yeah. And so when they cast Craig in that role, and then the way that they did it, it was actually in keeping with the original James Bond book, the first one. But the problem is that Fleming took it in a lighter direction after that book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was so happy to see them go back and do that first book, you know, the origin and kind of because I was surprised myself that no one had ever tried to tackle that. And I mean, it's the first book.
The problem was that it was there. So if I remember rightly, the rights were secured as part of an American teleplay starring Jimmy Bond. That actually was produced. And then
hey, I'm Jimmy Bond.
Yeah. And then somebody bought the rights that were attached to that teleplay, and then they made a parody movie, right? That they fired at least 3, if not, I think they fired 3 directors, but had 4 directors, right? And so it just goes in completely ridiculous directions, and then just goes somewhere else when a new director comes on, right? It's bizarre.
Oh, shit.
That was the Casino Royale that existed.
Yeah, I remember trying to watch Casino Royale as a kid because I love James Bond movies, and I was like, "What the hell is this? Where's
Yeah.
James Bond? What's going on?
Yeah,
Is this like a comedy?"
it is, but it's a
I
comedy
didn't get
where they fired 3 of the 4 directors, and every new director took it in a different direction.
And I watched Solo. I know what you mean.
Yeah, no, I mean, I honestly think that the parody James Bond movie is a movie that's better watched high. Because
Yeah,
I saw it.
there's a whole subgenre of that type of movies.
In like
there's a whole
Flint.
subgenre of that.
I saw it
Guess you need to
completely
get that
sober.
white,
and
man.
I saw it completely sober, and I was like, "There's something wrong, man."
Go watch it, rewatch it, man. You're like, man, this is amazing! Wow, incredible.
Well, interesting. That's where Get Smart actually pulls from. It pulls from James Bond.
Yeah.
In like Flint.
Yep, absolutely.
They
Those
all.
like Flint movies are hilarious.
Oh yeah, they are.
So what? The what now?
In like Flint.
What?
Oh yeah, I know what that is, but I've never watched any of those movies.
They're
So,
really
okay, so let me. Okay, have you ever watched Austin Powers?
Oh
yeah,
God.
of course.
I'm gonna see myself out, guys. All right, see you guys. Bye. No, I'm not. No,
What? You haven't seen Austin Powers?
No, I have not.
You haven't even watched the second one with Fat Bastard, which is
I
probably
wasn't
one of the
allowed to
best characters of the past 20 years.
I was definitely not allowed to watch Austin Powers as a kid. That's for sure. That was like a banned movie in my household.
In my chunk in my.
Like,
Get in my belly.
It's this bad. Like, I didn't realize Austin Powers was a James Bond parody until like maybe like last year, I think. Like, I just thought it was. I don't think
it's that much of a James Bond parody.
Oh, really?
As it's like a 1960s as a whole parody.
Yeah, yeah. It's a parody. It's basically it's kind of like what we're doing with Sporkman. It's taken the genre of spy thrillers and made its own thing.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely draws from James Bond, but it also draws from like the Avengers and other things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the Avengers with the Hulk, right?
No,
right, guys.
No.
I know you're messing with us now.
Yeah, I'm just messing that time. I didn't know that one. Yeah.
You had the chance to say like the Avengers with that movie with Ralph Fiennes. You could have say that.
Yeah, not that
cool.
shitty version. not that shitty version of the Avengers with Uma Thurman. No, but In Like Flint, actually, if you ever watched Austin Powers, In Like Flint was actually on Austin Powers. Like as like his homage to the thing. He actually was watching In Like Flint.
Yeah, James Coburn is the lead actor there.
Yeah.
Dude, I love this. Stars projections in the chat says, I think I've seen more Austin Powers than James Bond.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, Austin Powers is a phenomenal film. Set of films. They're just funny as hell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad it ruined. Too bad it pretty much killed Mike Myers' career, but they were still funny. Oh yeah.
Well, I think that there was that like the Guru thing that actually really killed.
Yeah.
Him.
I love Guru.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but it looked pretty bad.
So it did not do that well.
Yeah, sometimes you get bad roles. What can you do, right?
Yeah, the Mike Myers, he actually is like a ridiculously nice guy and very personable. And so I can't remember it was Austin Powers or it was another movie, but he'd go in and he'd talk to the guys at the gate and he'd talk to various people on the way in, and he'd spend a bunch of time with them, right? And they finally decided to start telling him he needed to be in a half hour earlier than he actually had to be there, because that's how long he was going to be talking with people on the way in, because he thought it'd be rude not to.
Yeah.
Well, he's Canadian, so I know. You know he apologizes when you step on him.
Oh boy.
Good Lord. But yeah, so he is. Yeah, he's sort of like the archetypical Canadian,
Oh, definitely.
I don't think he killed his career because of just one movie. I think something must have happened there. He probably refused to suck someone's dick or something.
All right. Well,
that's how it was
there was another movie that he had started doing that he abandoned, and when it was like half shot, and I think that also really did something, to hurt him, because he just said, "Look, I don't think we can get it to where we need to, and I can't get more money for it, so I'm out." And if you're a director that does that, people who throw money into movies don't like you anymore.
Yeah.
That's a tricky one. Speaking of movies, we're gonna run out of movies, guys. I'm scared. I'm getting nervous over here.
What do you mean?
I think we're gonna start running out of new movies and TV shows. We're gonna have to start diving back into the old stuff.
Oh man, it's rough.
You should be happy because you have a lot of stuff to go. You have homework to do.
Yeah, exactly. You're talking about.
By the way,
go watch Highlander right now. Go watch the original Avengers show right now.
That's true. I got plenty to watch. What am I talking about, man?
Got 3 Austin Powers to watch.
Venture Brothers,
Johnny Quest.
It's like when people come to me and start bitching about modern comics, I go, okay, great, sure, that there's a problem with a lot of the stuff that's being put out today. So go read back issues.
Yep. Oh, I don't want to read back issues.
They're cheaper. You're gonna find stuff you didn't ever know existed. It's a fun adventure.
Yeah, there's plenty of good comics out there already to dive into.
Yep.
Plenty of good trades out there too. That if you want to pick a trade up on Amazon or if you have a local comic shop, you can still support.
And you can a lot of times you'll be able to get those trades for like 50% off. Go to a convention, you'll be able to grab back trades for real cheap.
Yeah, sometimes you can get them for like $5 a pop.
Yeah.
I actually, when that happens, it ends up costing me $100.
I found it wasn't in a convention, but it wasn't like an old comic book shop that I like to go down in Alicante. I found an original Spanish edition of Superman versus Muhammad Ali for like $8.
Awesome.
That sounds like an incredible comic, dude.
Neil Adams, not enough said.
I actually went to Baltimore a couple years ago. The last time I actually got to Baltimore, and I was actually able to pick up the 5-volume trade omnibuses of Hack Slash with Tim Seeley that he did with Image for $25.
Yeah,
that's a bargain.
Very nice, man.
Normally would have cost me about $75 if I would have bought them.
Damn.
They were just selling them. Yeah, they were just selling them at there. They tend to at Baltimore and some of these other cons. They tend to sell trades for like half the cover price.
Yeah, I whenever I go to a show, I just do a circuit to start with, right?
Yep.
And I just figure out who has cheap trades, and then I figure out who has a lot of really cheap trades. If I can find that, $5 a pop if I can. And then I just park myself, just pull, go through, I don't know, a dozen boxes at least, pull. And when they're that cheap, obviously you just pull more stuff than you're actually going to get, but you want to have a bigger stack to kind of narrow down to what you really, really want.
Yeah.
And, and then you're just, you walk out and you're like, I saved so much money.
Wink.
Yeah. And then your bank account is like, I'm not sure about that.
Right. Oh man. Well, we're actually at the end of our first segment here. We're going to be bringing the Mythiverse guys on the next segment to talk a little bit about Mythics and what they got going on. So
cool.
Maybe we could, if you guys could tell us where we can follow you guys online so people can check out all your stuff. Yeah,
I'm Jeremy Lott. You can follow me at Jeremy Lott Diary on Twitter. And you can go to the Wikid store. That's going to in a day or two, right?
Exactly.
And get you can download Movie Men in digital for 99 cents.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
My name is Chuck Benetti, and I am one of the co-writers of Sporkman. We have conventions at Wikid. You can follow me at Sporkman Studios on everything. We also have a comic up on Wikid's website, Sporkman Goes Conventions. That is 99 cents also, and soon we'll be posting, once backers get their issues, we'll be posting the Sporkman Goes to Japan for sale digitally.
Very nice, man. That's going to be awesome.
So.
And I'm Scott Kish, creator-writer of the series Wrath, which is currently being printed for our Indiegogo backers, and you can get the digital on the Wikid store for 99 cents like the other titles. And you can follow me on Twitter at Kishkumen, KYSHKUMEN. And you can check out my new Wrath merch store at rage-puppy-productions.myshopify.com.
Nice.
I am
Get you
Sancho.
Finally. What was that?
That was an orgasmo joke. I don't know you guys have watched it.
Orgasmo!
I am Sancho.
I am Sancho.
I need a Spanish guitar riff right now.
I've seen that.
Are you Sancho? No, you're not
Sancho.
No, but for real though, for real, I'm Ibai Canales. I'm the guy who writes and draws Decimators, and you can find me on Twitter at Decimators Art, and I'm also on Facebook if you're into the whole being friends thing.
Excellent, man. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all joining in for the first segment. It was good to chat with you, kind of catch up a little bit. I do hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and definitely if we have any more streams or something coming on, I'll definitely hit you guys up.
Cool. Have a good day,
Love you
guys.
guys. Enjoy your day. Peace. Now we're bringing on the Mythoverse. Welcome to the Mythoverse crew, Matt and Dan. Hey guys, how's it going?
Doing well. Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. I appreciate you taking time just to sit down with us and talk today, and a little bit about what you guys got going on.
Absolutely. Before we begin, have you received the package yet?
I did. I was going to message you this yesterday, but I actually forgot. But yes, I have received the package, and it has come in good condition. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Enjoy it.
Yes, I got. For those who are wondering what we're talking about, Dan sent me a copy of the first Jawbreakers because I did back the first one, but Matt, my business partner, has my copy, and with everything going on, there's no way it's not at his house, and so there's no way to get it to me for a long time. So I was like, I want to read it to catch up because I still need to read the second one, and I want to read the new one. So that's essentially why so I appreciate it. Dan had another copy that he had a reading copy that he didn't need anymore. He still had his collector's copy.
Yep.
Yep. So,
I backed it twice so I could have one to read, one to keep. And I had read it, and I said, if you want it, it's yours. There you go.
You know, I really liked about that too is when I first got it, I immediately opened up the back page, and there was a message from Richard on the back, and it said, "This is a book that's meant to be shared with friends and family." I was like, "Oh, look at that! He's sharing it with me." I was like, "That's cool, man."
You are my. I guess that means you are my friend.
That's right. Aww. But yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, in the old days, you used to swap comics around all the time, and they weren't venerated collectible items. They were just stories that you would share, and
right, yeah.
Fine. And this is definitely one of those books. Like, this book reads like a book from when I was perhaps 12 or 13, and I would spend 75 cents on a book at the corner store and read it, and then toss it to my friend when I was done if he wanted to check it out. So
that's awesome.
Yep.
Now, so, Matt, are you in there with us? Do we have Matt? Testing.
You are Matt. Sorry, you are muted.
Yeah,
Matt. You are matted. You are matted mute.
Yeah, you are matted mute. Yes. Precisely.
Well, that was weird. Never had that happen before.
I am channeling Joe Biden today, apparently.
Get the energy. So they're going into your. It's like Spirit Bomb, Joe Biden's Spirit Bomb.
Yeah, I'm slurring my words. I'm not making any sense. Just put me out of my misery.
We're losing him, guys.
Put me out to pasture with the other old men.
Poor guy. Oh man. But Matt, so were you trying to speak then?
What was the question again?
How's it going, Matt? What's
oh,
up?
no, good. Not a whole lot because of the quarantine and all.
Right, yeah, kind of. And back, we could probably talk a little bit about that today because I think we haven't really had a chance to talk about it on a podcast yet. But we'll get to that. But yes, I mean, what have you in terms of the Mythiverse rather? Because there was an update last week that you guys put out about that. But yeah, I mean, how have you been otherwise? I mean, have you been working on anything, new projects or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been disrupted much at all because I'm a software engineer and I work with financial service software. So
that's nice.
My industries, both of my industries have not been too horribly disrupted. So the only adjustment was that I've been working from home since the 13th of March. So other than that,
I'm the same. I was the 16th of March is when I started working from home. Or no, the 20th. So it was a little bit after that. But yeah, it feels like it's been a long time, man.
It has been, but honestly, our productivity hasn't really suffered. I was a little bit concerned a couple of weeks ago. We had a major release that we were all handling remotely, but it went smooth as silk. So I'm not.
Nice, dude.
I'm perfectly happy with this continuing. It makes things a lot easier. I can do a lot more of my own stuff because I'm right here at home.
Naughty Dog ain't got nothing on you, man.
Yeah. So one of the things I've been doing is I've been planting a vegetable garden in the back because I have about an acre and a half of land behind my house. So I've been making use of it. So I planted a couple square foot gardens that are 4 square feet. Let me think. I got beans and cantaloupe in one of them. The beans are about a week or two away from being harvestable because I planted them like right that first weekend. So they're almost ready to harvest. Cantaloupe got a couple more weeks. Then I've got carrots and watermelon and lettuce, spinach and romaine and tomatoes. Yeah. And I'm not even finished. I have tomatoes. I have cherry tomatoes. I have cucumbers, squash, and what else? Several others. But yeah, I've been making good use of my time, I think. And I've gotten the kids involved. I made sure to. The reason I went with square foot gardens is that it resembles Stardew Valley. You know, and so my kids are getting into it. They're like, okay, this is my square. This is my square. I'm watering this square, and
that's pretty clever. I like that.
Yeah. So
you make it relatable to them, yeah.
Exactly. You have to try to gamify everything, and then
exactly. That's the new thing, man.
Yeah. Sweet.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, man. I'm glad you guys are finding ways to pass the time and stay sane. That's definitely good.
That's key. You got to stay busy.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you have kids in the house, I feel like that's the really tough part.
Yeah, because schools close until next year, so they've been doing remote learning. So every morning, first thing I do is I get up, I feed them, get them set up on their remote learning. Then I have my morning meeting, and then I try to squeeze in as many blocks of productive time as I can, which isn't always possible because the toddler is very much demanding of your attention.
Really?
So I've adapted to be productive during his nap times, and that's
pretty smart.
That's not always easy.
Or
possible, yeah, because once you're torn out of the zone as a software engineer, it can take like a very long time to get back into it.
Really? Yeah, you kind of get into the flow. You have to get into the flow, I guess.
Yeah, you need uninterrupted periods of focus in order to be productive, and it's not really possible. So my solution is either nap times, or I wait until after they're asleep for the night, and then I wake up and I work from like midnight to 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or whenever, and then I sleep until a meeting, and then I tell them how much I've gotten done, and then I take a nap. And that's the one thing that I can do because I'm remote. So is flexibility.
Well, that's good at least, yeah. Jeez, man, that's intense.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. On the Mythiverse side,
right. Actually, was we gonna bring that up?
Yeah. So, Leandro is about to turn in page 12 of Adobe Kroger issue 2, and with those pages and the cover, he's essentially inked and penciled like 13 pages. since the start of the year. So he's a machine, and that's on top of the Jack Irons crossover piece that I've been showing in the group chat. So he's been very busy. Adobe Kroger is churning along, and I expect it to be done within a couple of months at this rate.
That's great, man. Yeah, that's a lot of great progress. And
yep.
So is the plan for Adobe to launch a campaign possibly sometimes later this year?
Yeah. After Matt's campaign is complete and fulfilled, we're going to launch Changeling.
Very nice.
And then once we're going to run that for a month. And then once that's fulfilled, Adobe will go next. So I think, Matt, you have a deadline for Bethy for when?
In June.
In June?
Yep. I think that we can definitely get it done within a month's time. So by the end of June, we should have issue 2 out to the backers in digital format and sent to printers by then.
Yeah. Don't forget also, not only issue 1 and 2, but we also have a special item going out for this campaign, the Year 1 Omnibus, which has a collection of all 3 of the issue 1s in one trade paperback volume, in addition to all the Mytho Chibi strips, all in a nice perfect bound volume. So that's going to be a special treat for those who back the Mythics campaign. And that we should, like Matt said, as soon as that Mythics issue 2 is complete, you're all getting the digital copy immediately. And then the print will follow shortly thereafter.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yep.
That's awesome, man.
Uh-huh. And the same thing for Changeling and Adobe Kroger. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, now, Matt, of course, your Indiegogo is currently running. So is there anything you'd like to talk to us about that, or tell us about, how that's going?
First, Kickstarter. It's a Kickstarter.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I always do. I think because a lot of the other guys use Indiegogo. So for some reason, I always just go to there first. But yes, you're right. It is a Kickstarter.
Well, if I fall short, I'll have to do it all over again. There's no extension for it.
Right.
I'm confident that we will. And it's just that we're going to have less people show up to it because of 1, the coronavirus, and 2, it's just Mythics. There's no Changeling issue 2. There's no Adobe Kroger issue 2. So there's going to be a decrease in numbers.
That's true, but the goal is also lower because it's just one comic. Isn't that right?
That too.
Yeah, but if you look at the number of backers, you're currently at 40 backers. And we're just completed week 2 of your campaign, and we ended up in total with 172 backers for the Mythoverse. So you are actually on track to get about 30% of that by the end of this campaign at the very least.
Yeah, which is fun. This is fun because these are all readers I know they're going to come back.
Yes, a lot of we've already had several people from the previous campaign back this one, so we are having repeat customers, and each and every one of these backers is strictly for Matt's book, for Mythics. So Matt can look at these numbers and say these are all people that want Mythics. It was more difficult to say who backed what for what reason on the last campaign because basically every tier got you all 3 books, with some exceptions. There were I think there were 3 tiers where you could order just one of the books. But other than that, if you backed for most of the tiers in the first campaign, you got all 3. So it was difficult to gauge which book had the greater numbers, or even if that mattered. But for right now, with these separate campaigns, we can see exactly 40 backers specifically for Mythics. So Matt can look at that and say, these are 40 fans that are willing to invest a fair amount of money into my project because they enjoy the stories, the characters, and they believe in the project. So that's definitely a positive, I would say, to doing it the way we're doing it now.
And I also think it makes sense for a couple of reasons. One, you guys have launched your Mythos Shared Universe now, so going forward, you can easily make those single releases and not have to worry about people not understanding the shared universe aspect. But at the same time, that'll also increase or decrease production time, because now you're only worrying about one comic having to be made, not three comics.
Right. That was one of the reasons why we elected to do the individual campaigns. Was all the teams work at their own pace, and all the teams have different things that they need to get done. Like Leandro was working by himself, and Adobe Kroger was black and white. So once he inked it, he was done. Mythics, Beth was also working by herself, but she was also coloring it in addition to penciling and inking it. And for the first issue, she was also lettering it. So she had a lot of work to do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and so it would have taken her longer to do than Leandro. And for Changeling, we had two people that had to collaborate, and they were in different time zones. Like Vincent was in Mexico, and Ginger is in the UK.
Wow, that's a tough one, man.
Yeah,
wow. I gotta give Brett props for that one.
Yeah, so it's difficult to juggle that, but So Vincent, when he's finished with his line work, Ginger then has to color it. So we have two people schedules to manage now.
Wow, yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah,
no, that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I think that was a really smart move to split them up like that.
Yep.
I also mean you can't always come back and do a shared one later down the line, even, but for now doing them separate works, I think.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think it's important that each book develop its own individual audience too. And I think we're seeing that right now. I mean, we're definitely seeing a good amount of people come out to back Matt's book in particular, and I think a lot of it has to do with the strength of Bethy's artwork, her strong characterization, her use of color. Like if you look at the campaign page, the first image you'll be greeted with is this stunning picture of Morella and Althea walking on the beach. And Matt didn't really give Bethy any direction in terms of their outfits, but she just came up with this transparent plastic coat for Morella, which is fantastic. It kind of brings back to my clubbing days. And then and then Althea has this really uniquely designed mesh bathing suit with a yellow jacket, and their expressions are just so fantastic. Like you can tell Althea is agitated, and Morella is kind of like, "What the hell's wrong with you?"
I know. I love that sideways kind of glance she's giving her.
Yeah,
this is great.
And then if you scroll down a little bit, you can see the cityscape, and the way she captured that sunset over the skyline is fantastic. Like driving around late at night, driving into a city, that's exactly what it looks like. You see these black shapes, and behind them is what's left of the sun, and then over to the left is like this beautiful gradation of color around the moon and the stars. They look like they're random, just like they would appear to us. And just everything about that page is fantastic. The saturated colors, you can tell the characters are saturated with the colors that she used for the night sky. And it's just a superb piece of work. And on top of all that, I mean, Althea is a really cool character. She is kind of a combination of, Sherlock Holmes and Constantine from Hellblazer. She's obviously the smartest of the three Mythoverse ladies. And she's also working with, one hand tied behind her back most of the time, because magic is forbidden in our universe, thanks to Adobe's Order of the Carolingian Cross, keeping magic under a very tight regulation. So what is a young magic user who is trying to maintain balance and protect the innocent, what's she supposed to do? Yeah. So Althea always has to be mindful not to broadcast her presence to the Order of the Carolingian Cross, while she also has to protect the innocent. And it takes a very special kind of person to pull that off. So I think that's what's most fascinating about the setting that Althea is forced to work in, but also Althea herself. So
that's really interesting. Yeah.
So there's a lot to love in Mythics, both visually and from a storytelling standpoint. So I definitely want to go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of visually, Neostar Productions in the chat says that they certainly look stunning, to say the least.
Yeah. Hey Neo. Glad to see you as always. Neo's just fantastic to have around. Love him. Yeah, it's very exciting visually. And if you scroll through all the pages on the campaign, I think what she does the best job at is being able to read Althea's thoughts without having to read the captions. Like if you look at the page where the Spriggan attacks her and she wakes up in chains, and she has all of her clothes ripped off because the Spriggan doesn't want her to be able to turn her clothes inside out and vanish from view, which is the Spriggan's weakness. She doesn't look like she's terrified or trepidatious about what's going to happen. She just looks irritated. She's like, "Oh God, this again."
Oh yeah, she's pissed off, man.
She's pissed. Like she's in a fighting mood. She doesn't feel vulnerable. So that's exciting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting to see this kind of the side of the character. You know, in the first issue, we don't really necessarily get to see her fierce side, so it is really cool to see that in this issue.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, Matt, this second job that she's on to purge the Spriggan. Now, this, from what she understands initially, this is actually like a separate, unrelated job. But does it have something to do with the overall story in Volume 1?
It does. It happens in the same park as where she rescued the baby changeling from the first issue. So there is a possibility that the Spriggan is connected to the witches.
Okay, so a Spriggan is that like a tree spirit or
is that like a character from like a video game or something? Just kidding.
It's something of a spirit of a spirit, but it's also a malicious one when it feels like its territory is being trespassed upon. So it's not a very nice spirit.
Oh, jeez.
It's also, I also read that it's also used as something of a bodyguard for witches. So this is very much something that could happen.
Yeah, we had a coven of witches that she went and arrested, essentially. And now in the same park is the Spriggan. So did the witches cause the Spriggan to happen because they were looking for protection? Or who knows, right? This is what Althea has to find out in issue 2.
Wow, that's awesome.
And do we learn a little bit more about like if you go down to the page where her eyes are glowing and she's going Super Saiyan mode? Does that have something to do with her familiar?
Oh yes, it means he's close by.
Okay, so what is important about a Mythics familiar, Matt?
They unlock their power, give them the focus they need to use their powers, and use them to the best of their full potential.
Yeah, and I noticed how one of the things that we were discussing, just as like it would be cool, is if you notice a lot of the times when we see Althea, her hair is tied up, or it's in a bun, or it's in a ponytail, or whatever. And I always thought, it'd be really cool is if how in a series of unfortunate events where the female sibling, when she's getting serious, she ties her hair up. Well, what if Althea, when she gets serious, she just lets her hair down? Otherwise, so it's kind of like we're seeing her here with her hair down when she's busting out. So I thought that'd be kind of neat.
Nice, yeah, that is cool. Kind of lets her unleash
like her
true.
It's a nice visual cue to let you know that she means business.
True, yeah. That's funny. Wow. And she definitely means business in this panel here.
Yeah, she's pissed right now. I mean, I think isn't this after she was tormented for a very long time by the Spriggan?
Oh yeah, and as we can tell from her reaction, we're going to tell from her reaction to facing up Spriggan, it left its mental scars.
I don't doubt it. I mean, what it looks like it's bringing all of her anxieties to the forefront. It looks like here on the top panel of this page where she's being tortured, it looks like everyone she knows is turning their backs on her.
Where's that? This one here?
Yeah, that one where the Spriggan is like torturing her and she's kind of on the ground there, and you see that group of people turning their backs on her. Is that one of her biggest fears, Matt, of being alone or abandoned?
Yep. huge fear for her.
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So he was probably forcing into her mind all this time, like, you're alone, nobody cares about you, no one loves you, or what have you.
Okay. I can totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was probably enduring that for a long time. And that's probably why it left her mark on her.
Yep.
And I'm sure we'll see more of those insecurities kind of coming out as the series goes on.
And this is what I like about this. We're learning about this insecurity through the action. Like, she's not just sitting down and telling you, like, I don't like it when I'm alone. We're actually seeing how it affects her directly through events that occur in the comic.
I think it's a way more powerful way to do it. Honestly, it sticks with you a lot more than, as you said, than just outright saying it in exposition.
Yeah, we gotta try to show, not tell. It's a visual medium.
Right, totally. That is a good point.
So that's why I think that's a particularly effective scene, because she's not saying to Morella, "Gee, Morella, you know what I don't like? I don't like it when I'm alone." And that makes me sad.
And then they go sit on the couch and they have a therapy session. And
just make a big wall of text saying, "I don't like to be alone." Because when I was 5 years old, my mother left me alone.
Here's what you do: you have the one image and you repeat the same image 6 times, and you just have a bunch of dialogue.
Exactly. Or you can do what Matt's doing here and show you how it's affecting her.
Right.
I used to read The Lord of the Rings when I was younger, so I took note in how Tolkien had thrown in the lore through songs rather than text after text after text.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, or like Hobbit's more of a children's book, but he tells you, like, oh, did you know that trolls turn to stone? Well, that's because he showed you that they were turning to stone. He didn't say, by the way, we just have to wait until sunrise and then they'll turn to stone.
They just did it, right?
They just did it, and they says, "Oh, by the way, did you know that trolls turn to stone?" Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's a really better way to do it, I think, honestly.
Yeah, because in this page, we're seeing her anguish right here. We're seeing that this is really not a happy moment for her.
Right,
because we have that emotional connection with her, and because we're there with her, it does, like you said, it has a much greater impact when we learn how much of an impact it has on someone that we're relating to.
Yeah, Matt, could you tell us a little bit about this creature that we're seeing here?
The Spriggan?
I think, is this a Spriggan? I thought this was what you would call it's a plague, some sort of plague creature.
No, it's a Spriggan. Oh wait,
really?
No, the Nook and the Levy. Yeah, sorry, I thought you were looking at the pages.
Oh no! Sorry, I apologize. We have up on the screen. We have the beach print right now.
But it's all right. It's a dark spirit from Celtic lore that was largely responsible for plagues and livestock illness. And if you thought that the turning your clothes inside out weakness for a Spriggan was silly, for this creature, fresh water is deadly for them.
So literally, you can defeat it with a garden hose.
Pretty much.
Yeah, which is her weapon of choice in this scene here, rocking the garden hose.
And I think it was Dylan or someone else in our stream that mentioned. I'm just picturing this evil demonic creature squealing like a little girl, like.
Well, you remember how in Lord of the Rings you had the ring wraiths stopped by running fresh water.
Oh no, we can't get our hooves wet.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Oh damn it! They leapt on the ferry. We can't get them now.
Evil doesn't like water. They don't like to get wet.
Even though this is supposed to be this creature right here is supposed to be a water spirit.
Oh really?
That's funny.
Yeah, It's
Dude, this is
funny.
great. Hold on.
Yeah, it's funny because they never really talk about its water form either.
Well, I guess it's fresh water. Maybe salt water. It wouldn't care about. I don't know.
Yeah, it's salt. It's more of a salt water. It's from the ocean.
Okay, hence the beach, I guess.
Yep. I think it's more from more in California because of all the plagues that are in there over there.
And the great beaches, right?
Oh yeah, the great
Sure.
beaches.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you ever happen to
Whatever
see
you're
this
saying.
guy, just go turn on the water, the garden hose. You'll be fine.
Exactly.
Oh, I was
Or,
just watering the garden anyway. This is convenient.
Or if you're running away from him, you can jump in a stream to escape from him. That would work.
You better hope it never rains. Oh my god.
Yeah, they're definitely indoor people or indoor creatures when it rains. They don't go out very much. You know.
Or they retreat to the oceans.
Nice.
So they're fine with seawater. That's why. Is that right?
Yep.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's all fresh water. So anyway, that's a really cool design. So is that design taken from lore, or did you take some liberties with it, or?
A little of both. I showed him a classical illustration of it, and the head's a lot bigger in the original illustration, but he was able to get it looking far more creepy than it usually does.
Yeah, the horse skull is a nice touch. I really do like that because horse skulls are very creepy looking. I mean, there's just so much empty space there that you don't expect there to be.
No,
Yep.
that is so bizarre, huh?
Yeah.
You wouldn't recognize it as a horse necessarily if you just saw the skull on its own.
Yeah, they definitely do look very strange. And elephant skulls are also that way. I think elephant skulls actually were the source of many myths about the Cyclops because they look like they have one single giant hole in the middle where an eye would belong.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Not for the tusk? Is that where the tusk would be?
Well,
Maybe
the
not tusk, the
trunk. The trunk.
Yeah, the trunk.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah.
If you look at an elephant skull, it really does look like a tusked creature with one eye. It's pretty good.
and if you look at the rider, you can see that it's part of the creature, not riding it.
Right. Yeah, that's extra creepy.
It's like a centaur, but not.
Yep.
It's like a fucked up centaur. Oh man.
I'm just picturing
great,
Althea as like having like a junior woodchuck guidebook kind of thing where it's like, okay, what do I use now? Fresh water.
It's a Mythodex. Like a Pokedex for Mythoverse. A Mythodex.
Yeah. It's like Spriggan, turn your clothes inside out. Got it.
That'd be great, right?
Yeah.
The Mythics guidebook to destroying creatures of evil nature.
I think we just wrote a Mythochibis premise right here. There you go.
Oh my god. Oh man.
Or we could be previewing a new product.
Or that
right?
too.
I was just thinking you could totally put out a book, like a side book, be like, and like a bestiary essentially.
It would need to be written by Althea. Kind of like
that would be so good. Yes.
Kind of like Newt Scamander's Fantastic Beasts or whatever. I was just
thinking that.
So she could. So Althea could be, the author of Bestiary. That'd be pretty awesome.
Right? Oh man, I would love that. Honestly.
Seriously, we have a whole bunch of cool artists that could make the illustrations for us. We just got to write the. Hey, yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna flesh this idea.
Yeah,
out.
dude, I would love to see if you guys do that because not only would it be cool to see the creatures and learn about them, but it would just be kind of a fun way to tie in the whole Althea as a writer too. So you could totally make that really fun.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I'm definitely gonna flesh that one out.
That's awesome, dude.
Cool.
Oh man. But the page is awesome. There's a lot of cool art on here. Now I'm not sure if you're familiar with this piece. Which artist did this one?
I'm sorry, which one are you looking at?
It looks like a piece with all three of the ladies, and there's also let's see, how should I describe this? They're kind of looking off in different directions.
Oh
They,
yeah, I see which one you mean. Okay, I just had the screen closed. Yeah, this is a new artist we're working on. This is Mina. I believe this is her first professional commission, if I understand that correctly. And what this is a cover for our omnibus. So if you were to back at that level, you would receive this. This would be the cover of the collection of all 3 number 1s and all of the 35 or so Mythochibi strips. And what's really cool is, in addition to the Mythochibi strips, each strip will have commentary by Matt, Brett, and myself as to what we were thinking when we wrote it and what we happened to think of the strip. So a lot of extra content is going into this Mythoverse omnibus here. In addition to all the 3 comics and the Mythochibis, you also get a whole bunch of community art for all 3 books. So this is going to be a really great collector's item. It's going to be like a glossy cover, perfect bound. It's going to be about 100 pages. So it's a really good value.
That's awesome, man. And the cover looks really nice too. I love that you have the little chibi characters in the corner there too.
And you know, it's funny is that she almost perfectly nailed Antonella's style. It almost looks like Antonella did draw that. I was very impressed by how closely she mirrored it. But yeah, I'm very proud of Mina. This was, like I said, I believe her first professional commission, at least at this scale. And she's great to work with. And as I mentioned earlier on another stream, that if you ever get into a DM conversation with her, bring a lot of toothpaste because the sweetness will rot your teeth out. Like she's a very, very sweet, fun person to talk to.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. Now in the chat, Neostar says, I won't lie, I kind of miss Mythochibis, even though I ran out of clever comments to make on the later comics. Do you guys have plans to bring it back at any point in the future?
Yeah, the thing is, we just we don't have the budget to regularly pay Antonella to produce them at the rate of 1 a week.
Right. Okay.
Now we do have plenty of concepts for the strips. That's not a problem. It's just it's either I draw them or we pay someone else to draw them. And I haven't had time over the quarantine to sit down and do it. And like I said, we don't really have the budget to pay Antonella weekly like we would like to. So we do want to continue producing it. Just a matter of logistics at this point, because we're at the stage right now where we've got our first books out. We've got a nice little audience, a nice community, and we just have to build a more regular source of income that's reliable for us to continue producing like Mythochibis regularly. And we're getting there. We are building the Patreon up. We're up to about 31 backers right now. And we have a small amount of money coming in. But I'm really holding that in reserve for the moment to help in production and fulfillment of our comics before I spend that on additional webcomics. So we'll see how it goes. If we can grow the community, we will bring it back regularly. We do want to. We have plenty of ideas. It's just a matter of like budget.
Right. That's totally understandable. Yeah. But it'll be nice if at one point you guys are in a position that you can continue to see them come back.
I do. Cool. I do want to. And like I said, I technically can draw them. I did draw the latest one.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah, it's just a matter of me having time as well.
Right. And with you being so busy, that's not always easy for you, as we kind of were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's not, especially because the kids aren't in school and I'm at home. And my wife actually, this is interestingly timed. My wife had ankle surgery on the 13th, like right before lockdown started.
Oh, wow.
So for the past month and a half, she's been immobile while her ankle heals.
Oh, geez, dude.
So I've had to pull like triple duty at home.
So, yeah, that's intense, dude.
Yeah. So she's just now able to walk without a walker very gingerly. Like she still has to take it very slow. So I literally have not had time to sit down and draw as much as I would love to. And that's the thing. I mean, I talked about this in one of our Patreon podcasts, is that you got to be honest about what you can accomplish. And if you can delegate. But in order to delegate, you got to be able to pay them. And so it's kind of like I want more comics, but I can't pay them. I want to draw more comics, but I don't have time. So it's like, what do we do? Okay. So the answer is we focus on what I think will be the bedrock of our community, which is our Mythiverse stories.
Oh yeah, I think so too. I think that's where people. I think that's where the people, come in for is for the Mythiverse stories, and they'll definitely come for the Mythochibis, but I definitely think the meat of it, like you said, is kind of that core.
Mythochibis has really gone over well, but I think it'll go over even better once more people are familiar with the characters they're making fun of. because like Chibi Althea is I think would be much more funny once you are more familiar with actual Althea.
I agree. You definitely, because it's like Althea's personality up to 11. Really.
Yeah. Like especially in the latest one where she's like basically saying, you're the paladin, you take the danger, so therefore you have to clean the fridge. And Adobe's like, why? Why does that mean I have to clean the fridge? And she's acting all imperious, like, go, be gone, off with you.
Ever see that one episode of Cowboy Bebop? There's deadly things that can grow in there.
Yeah, I think that's what I plan to do for the follow-up, but I just never had time to draw it. Like I was going to pull on like an entire like interdimensional cross-rip encounter. That would have been fun. And Althea's like, are you still working on that? Why aren't you done yet? Like she just gets irritated. But anyway, yeah, lots of fun, and we do plan to bring Mythochibis back as soon as we're able to, practically.
No, it's excellent. No. I'm very happy for that. And are you guys offering the variant covers on these campaign?
Yes, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see Dylan's. Oh wait, are you talking about the Antonella variants?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh yes. There is a tier. There's a limited tier where you can pick up the Mythics Antonella variant, because we wanted to maintain the exclusivity for our original backers for these variants, because without them there'd be no Mythiverse. So I wanted them to have like the special limited edition version of the comics. But Matt brought up a good point. Like, what if there was someone that wanted to support us back then but couldn't, and they would be every bit as important as the original backers in that regard. So yeah, let's make it available, but in a limited capacity, because I wanted the Antonella variants to be like a special thank you to those that helped us launch this brand. And so we are offering that. Which tier is it, Matt, that's being offered on? Let me see.
Well, there's two of them. So there's the let me get it up. And
let me see. Is it the no wait, that's not the Antonella variant. That's the other variant.
Yeah, it's a special variants tier for $20. And the Ultimate Collection at $95. That includes the issue 1 variant.
Yes, and the issue 1 variant is, if you scroll down, I think you'll see the non-Antonella variant, the variant that is particular to this campaign. It was done by Dylan. Actually, no, you got to scroll back up. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It should be above the omnibus cover, and above that poster.
Is it this one?
Yeah, that is the one that, interestingly enough, I think this image got our stream taken down once. I'm not sure. Yeah,
you don't say.
I can't confirm or deny this was the cause. All I know is that we had this on screen and we were talking about it, and then our stream went down. So here you go. But anyway,
hopefully we don't get taken down today.
Well, by all means, scroll off of it before you get taken down.
Hurry!
Oh, definitely.
But anyway, this piece was done by Dylan Fagan, one of our members of our Discord and one of our artists that we are collaborating with. He is developing his own Mythoverse property, and he recently did a short story that Matt wrote for this collection called Corona King, which I still have to do a review for. I have it written, I just haven't filmed it. But this is Althea on the beach. It's like a prequel and or a sequel, whichever one, to the pinup that we just saw, where she's spraying the evil plague creature.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so Dylan's really improved. Like if you look at like his work just 2 years ago and compare it to this cover, that's amazing how much work that guy's put in. And that's one of the main reasons I'm happy to work with him. Is he's very hungry, and he works very hard to improve, and he takes to heart like the areas he needs to improve in, and he works to improve them like tirelessly. So
wow.
He's going places, and he's still a young guy, but he's on his way.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yep.
Now, I actually wanted to ask a little bit about the Corona Kings. So you put out you put out a Mythics short story, is that right?
Yep.
So can you talk a little bit about your decision to incorporate everything going on into the comic?
Well, it's not so much a focus of the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of Elfia recounting a case while quarantined.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine.
She has all the time in the world to write them down.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting take, and you guys released that for free to kind of give people something to read while they are quarantined. So I thought it was kind of a fun little thing to put out for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Ever since the lockdown started, we've been looking for ways, both at the Mythiverse and otherwise, to provide content for folks. Like we have about 5 hours of book readings on our channel now. And I happen to have a lot of public domain books at home, so I've been just saying, hey, what if I just read these?
I already have them.
I have them, and these are great stories. I mean, and it's very appropriate because at the Mythiverse, what we're doing is we're taking all these great myths from Western canon, and we're just incorporating them in such a way to pay them the most respect without trying to modernize them too much. But we're saying like, hey, if these creatures and these legends actually happened, how would they carry over into the modern world unironically? So Matt makes that good point there. Like one of the things that we're doing with these legends and these creatures is that we're portraying them as they would be portrayed in their tales. So a Spriggan is portrayed more or less as how they would be portrayed in terms of what they do and what their weaknesses are. And if we were to incorporate, like, say, something out of Norse mythology, it would be done in a non-subversive way. Like they would be treated like, with respect to the original canon.
Very nice, man. Yeah, I like that kind of traditional approach to the mythology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's all these stories are where we get our stories from. I mean, this is important to preserve and to treat with care and respect, and that's one of the reasons that we call ourselves the Mythiverse. They're based on myths and legends, and this is our world if all these legends were real. And
I think that's great, man. I've always been a big fan of mythology, folklore, legends, all that good stuff. So it's just so much fun to see your guys' take on it all.
Awesome. Yeah, we're really excited to move forward, and I think it's great that it worked out that all of us are taking a different branch, if you will, of the Western canon tree. Like Matt is focusing on the cunning folk, which is more of like a